Boom! All right, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for an episode that could transform your perspective on insurance and empower you as a business owner. So stay tuned for an inspiring conversation with a true innovator in the world of business insurance. Let's get this one started. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life. Prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Bros.
Business Bros. Today we have a game changer in the world of insurance with us. He's the founder and president of Rogue Risk and is here to share his mission to redefine insurance for business owners. In this episode, we're diving deep into the concept of Rogue Risk 365 and how it's transforming the way business owners approach insurance. Get ready for a conversation about partnership, proactive solutions, and empowerment as we embark on this journey to discover how Rogue Risk 365 is setting new standards in the insurance industry. Stay tuned for an enlightening discussion, and let's change the way you view insurance and risk management from here on out. Let's welcome to the show, Mr. Ryan Hanley. All right, Ryan, welcome to the program.
Dude, it's great to be here. Appreciate it.
All right, dude. Insurance, not the sexiest topic in the world. I know. I've been in the insurance space for quite some time. I have a partnership in an insurance agency. My brother kind of retired from the insurance game at the age of 37. He's had a great run. Let me just ask you, what is Rogue Risk? Why is it a little bit different than what normally people are approaching insurance agents for these days?
Yeah, so you're 100% right. There are no little boys or girls, and certainly probably no one in your classroom right now who is like, you know what I want to be when I grow up? An insurance agent. Like, I can't wait. Like, it's like my dream. Now, what's interesting about it is it has the best, particularly speaking to the people in your classroom there, it has the best financial model that exists. So while the more ambitious among them are most likely thinking Wall Street, or they're going to be some sort of tech entrepreneur or whatever, if you want to do the least amount of work possible and make the most amount of money, this is like the original lifestyle business. Now, if you work hard, there's even more money to be made and even more good to be done. But the model is tremendous. And that's what ends up hooking people is you get into this business, you develop an arcane set of skills that are not applicable in any other place, and you get stuck. But there's a lot of challenges that are rewarding and fulfilling to go after, and there's a lot of opportunity for innovation, and that's really where we stepped in. So, kind of fast forwarding through my history and how I got here, in 2019, I was fired from my third executive position in a row, and I felt like this was the universe telling me that it was time for me to start my own business. I probably was just not a great employee, which is most likely true. And in March 9th of 2020, 7 days before we'll call it the zombie apocalypse, so you don't get any dings on your account here, hit upstate New York, I launched this business. And then 7 days later, boom, the world just shuts down. And being that my market was small and smaller mid-sized businesses, it was brutal. And we did not make our first sale until May. We didn't make our third sale until August. And at that point, I was essentially keeping the bourbon business going, trying to keep myself alive and not falling into depression. But what I learned through that is, if you can go back to first principles and believe in what you're doing and how you're trying to actually make a change, even if you feel like crap every day when you wake up, you can soldier through it and get things done. And what ended up happening is third sale in August of 2020. And by April 1st of 2022, we were wholly acquired by a holding company that I am now part of the executive leadership team on. So, we were able to kind of be born in COVID, survive that wave, and ultimately scale and grow our business with a new model that was attractive enough to a private equity company that they actually purchased us, which is where we are today.
That's quite the journey for a company to be even considered acquired, to be considered for being acquired. And I'm kind of curious as to like your educational journey to get you to the point where all of a sudden you're being acquired by a company. Most people who, especially when they get into a company like insurance, don't ever really get acquired because the attrition for that book of business can go south pretty quickly. Unless you have certain systems and processes set up, then it makes kind of that book a little bit more attractive. How did you decide that you were going to get into the insurance space? Like, what is required for somebody to get into the insurance space?
Yeah. So really you just need a license and a high school education, and you basically can become an insurance agent. My journey into insurance is like most. If you talk to insurance people, no one really set out to be in insurance. And if someone is setting out to be in insurance, they're either a legacy or a weirdo. And you wanna be careful of both of those types of people. But for me, it was essentially the dowry for my ex-wife's hand in marriage. Her father owned a local independent insurance agency. I live in the greater Albany, New York area, so about 2.5 hours north of New York City. And outside of town, there's a 15-person generalist agency that's been around for 40 years. And that is my ex-wife's family's agency. And back in 2005, we were talking about getting married. And my father-in-law pulled me out of a Christmas party. This is like almost out of a mafia movie. Pulls me out of this Christmas party, pulls me into this, his office in his home, which is like right out of a movie, like walls, high leatherback chairs, like uncomfortable desk that's only like 6 inches deep that I have no idea why anyone purchases or could use. And he's sitting in one chair, I'm sitting in another facing him. His son, who also worked at the agency, is kind of standing over his shoulder. So, I mean, this is like legitimately.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
And thankfully they offered me a job. And being that I kind of, these were very successful. I come from a very broken, very crazy life. I grew up in the middle of the woods, town of like 900 people. So I like saw this as an opportunity to really like get some solidarity in my life. And I wanted to be a salesperson. I had tried a bunch of other jobs and I worked in New York City for American Express. I worked for a company called RSM McGladrey. It's the 5th largest accounting firm in the country, in Washington, D.C. for 4 years. So like I had done the big business thing, realized that wasn't really for me. So I thought maybe sales was the answer. And what I realized pretty quickly is I was terrible at it. Months, my father-in-law brought me into his office and tried to fire me. And I quite literally, like any self-respecting young man would do, got down on my knees and begged him to not make me go home and tell his little girl that I got fired by her dad. And thankfully he accepted. He said, I'll give you one more chance, but you got to turn things around, okay? And my issue was at the time, I didn't have confidence. He didn't really teach me sales skills. And what I didn't understand, I felt like I was interrupting people's lives. I felt like, the classic way of selling back then was cold calling, driving, and just literally walking into businesses, like networking events. And you were looking at every single human as how much money could I extract from them? And for some people, perfectly fine. And if you don't have a problem with that, you will be a tremendous salesperson and make a tremendous amount of money. And I'm not knocking that. It just wasn't me. So I had to find another way. What I found, and this is back in the students in your class won't even believe that these days exist, but like the internet and social media was just kind of becoming a thing at this point. So this is like 2008, 2009. It's just starting for people to accept that this might not be a fad, that the internet might be around for a while. And LinkedIn was becoming popular. And I knew a bunch of professionals there. And I realized that there were people who were sharing information that normally was kept behind gates. So today it's information, content marketing, Gary Vaynerchuk, all these guys, they preach all this information first, let people choose you. Well, in 2008, that wasn't what people did. To get my information, you had to come commit to me. You had to sit down with me, all this kind of stuff. And I was one of the pioneers of the insurance industry. I started sharing every single thing. Hopefully I didn't shard. I may have though.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. I started sharing information on YouTube at the time. Now this is non-HD. It would take 30 minutes to upload a 5-minute video time. But every question that I got asked by one of my customers, I would answer it in video on my phone and I would post it to YouTube. Now today that's like common practice, but back then it was literally blaspheming. Like I had people who would write me hate letters for putting this information out because they're like, you shouldn't be telling people about this stuff. They need to talk to a pro. And I was like, they are talking to a pro. I'm a licensed professional. I'm just sharing it online. And it completely changed my career. Over the next 6 years, I became, one of the more successful producers in the greater market. On $100 budget a month, I was doing over 100 leads, so many leads that I started distributing them out to other members of the team. And completely became it really launched my speaking career. I have a whole kind of consulting practice that I do on the side around leadership, performance, and sales. And all of that came out of understanding that one, old way of selling wasn't for me. Not that it doesn't work, it still works today. But that my way of selling was saying, I'm going to give you everything I have. You're going to know everything about me, who I am as a person, what I believe, my construct, filters, frameworks for insurance, why I think this product is important. And if you believe what I believe, come do business with me. And what happens is I have this whole presentation that I do around the idea of being already sold, right? When people call me or call the businesses that I run or that I advise, we're not selling them. We're taking orders. And the reason is because they've done so much research up front. So there's pieces in between that, but that was one of the defining moments of my career and is basically what we built Rogue on. So during COVID, I was just creating videos in my basement. I built a really nice studio, and just was able to just bam. And I was just answering questions. People would send questions in. They'd ask questions on the YouTube videos. Then I'd take that and make one for that question. And, now we have one of the most trafficked, if you go to the Rogue Risk YouTube channel, we have one of the most trafficked YouTube channels in the insurance industry in the world.
And that makes a big difference. I think, especially in the insurance space, agents just don't know that sales side. And there's more of them that fall off, not because they don't know the insurance or the insurance products. They just don't know really how to acquire that customer, getting that customer to come in and ask them a question, getting that customer to even consider them as the type of carrier that they want to work with or the type of insurance agent they want to work with. Usually it's because of a lack of information and you were literally doing what they were asking, which was answering a question, giving them the information they need. You gain the trust, and then all of a sudden you were taking the order because they already knew what they wanted. You informed them on that already. The sales side was kind of taken out of it. From an audience standpoint, your content seems like it's directed towards the consumer. From a business standpoint, who is it that you're going after? Are you recruiting agents at the moment? Are you looking for specific types of companies? What are you looking for?
We're always recruiting because I think that if you're not always looking for new good people, then your business is probably dying. And I want to touch on something you said before. I actually would disagree that a lack of knowledge is the reason that most insurance agents and advisors are not successful. I'd say it's a lack of discipline and a lack of purpose and meaning for the work. They take the job because it's a job and they're like, oh, this guy's got his wife or her husband drives a 7 Series and, man, that would be nice. Or I see they have 2 homes and I want that, but they don't really want to do the work. And one of the things that I found, and this is not age dependent, so I don't want this to sound like, I'm going after a certain generation or whatever. There is selling insurance is incredibly easy. There is nothing hard about this. It's just work. If you are unsuccessful, it's because you don't want to work. That's all it is. Everything that I do is not revolutionary. It is literally taking the same exact process that's been used for 400 years and just applying it to the internet. Like we just work really hard. Like I create 10 to 15 YouTube videos every week. I have taught my sales team how to answer phone calls and walk them through a very basic, very common, very standard, kind of questioning system that we call the one call close system that works that person to the exact product that they actually need, that they feel good about, that they understand and are happy with when they purchase. Like it's just, but you got to do the work. You got to pick up the phones. If you're going to go boots on the ground, get in your car, Drive from strip plaza to strip plaza. If you're going to do networking events, go to networking events. If you're going to prospect middle market warehouses, go drive to middle market warehouses and walk in and talk to people. Like, and this goes for anything. This is not just insurance. You know, I obviously my core and where I've tested a lot of my strategies and put into practice is in the insurance industry, but I've done sales consulting and speaking for more than a decade now. And I've worked with big businesses, with small businesses. And at the end of the day, it's simply work. They don't want to do the work. They, instead of doing 25 calls, they do 5, and then they make an excuse why they can't do the other 20. Or they do one day a week of 25 calls, you know, let's just say 25 is the number you need to hit, and they don't do the rest because they're busy. And this is just, you know, I think we give people outs and we give them excuses and by saying, oh, maybe you don't understand, or this is there's nothing new. It's pick a thing, work really hard at it. You'll be successful. That's literally, you could just take all the strategies, throw them up on a wall, throw a dart at the strategies, whichever one hits, just do that one over and 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 over again. It's like that. Who's the running back there? He used to play for the Bills and then Seattle, beast mode. One of your students probably knows him. Running back, Marshawn Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch.
He's got this viral meme on TikTok that you've probably seen where he's like, they're like, well, you know, what was your strategy when you're running? And he's like, most guys don't want to get hit over and over and over. And he like obnoxiously says over and over and over again. You like keep waiting for him to be done. And then finally finishes. And he goes, what I found is that if you hit guys in the mouth over and over and over and over and over again, they don't keep getting back up. And that's the truth. It's the people that keep getting back up that win. That's all it is. It's sales and really entrepreneurship. You want to be a leader in an organization. You just got to keep getting back up and going. I think I don't buy into we don't know what to do, or we don't have the right tools or the right timing or connections. I don't buy into any of that.
Consistency is the key. It's going to win every single time, no matter what, because you're going to learn something from every interaction, every sales call, every attempt, every failure. There's a learning lesson right behind it every single step of the way. Let me ask you about the insurance industry itself. I'm in California. There's been a lot of different carriers that are non-renewing, especially when it comes to personal lines. You guys are focused on the business side. If someone was going to get started today in the insurance space and they're talking about home, they're talking about auto, what advice would you give them if they're getting started today to kind of build that business that they could really grow from? Yeah,
so I would go find the best insurance agency owner or salesperson that you can find and go work for them for 3 to 5 years at a minimum. Because this is not a business that you can be highly successful. You will drastically reduce your success rate if you try to jump into this cold. And not that you can't. I've seen it done, but there are a lot of nuances to not to the selling part, right? The selling part is work. I go back to that every day. To some of the like nonsensical regulatory stuff. Now, California's in a tough spot because you guys have, your regulatory environment is brutal. It is just, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of that because I don't know your audience.
It's just not good. I get it.
It's not good. It's not good. Let's just say people who don't care about reality or well-being are making your rules, and therefore you guys all pay the price, the business owners and the homeowners. So, what does that mean? What that means is California, much like Illinois, New York, and New Jersey in particular, and maybe you can find some common threads in how they're operated, have almost unlimited liability judgments, which means that a judge or a jury can throw any number that they want on top of a liability claim with almost no regard for reality. And, that sounds great, right? Because everyone wants to go, oh, they deserve all this money because this thing happened. And yeah, horrible things happen. That's what insurance is for. But understand that when, let's say, I'll give you an example. There was a sexual harassment case in New Jersey. 12 women were sexually harassed. It was horrible, and they deserved to get paid 100%. Their careers were impacted. They were in a nasty, unsafe work environment, and every part of it was wrong. The compensation judgment was about 2 million apiece.
Whew.
They then got an additional 200 million for non-compensatory damages. So
Oof.
they got somewhere in the range of $244 million, all, kind of split among the 12 of them for sexual harassment claims. No physical abuse, no anything else. Just it was a toxic work. It was bad, right? I mean, and again, that's what the coverage is for. They should not have to work on that, and they should have gotten a judgment 100%. That $244 million, every taxpayer in the state of New Jersey now pays for that. That's, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing, is that's not coming from the insurance carrier alone, because the insurance carrier is a business. So when they have to pay out $244 million, that then has to get paid for somehow, and it gets spread out through all the other policy holders in the state, and it hits your state compensation fund and hits a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have been taken care of. I'm saying when you have in states with mega judgments, it is very, very difficult to operate, because at any given time, you can have these enormous losses that then impact everyone else. You see this, with weather related stuff. So non-judgment related stuff in states like Florida and Louisiana. California, unfortunately, has the wildfires. So that's another reason. So in property, Louisiana, Florida, and California are three of the worst states for property rates for insurance. And the reason is wildfires, flooding, hurricanes. So if you live in these places and these major damages happen, insurance carriers operate on fairly thin margins. That is a huge misnomer that's perpetuated by mainstream media. Is they do hold a ton of money. The problem is the vast majority of that money, depending on the state, somewhere between 60 and 70% of that money, they can never touch and has to sit in an account in case something like Katrina happens or Irene. These are storms, right? Like, so they can't spend that money. That money's not getting spent. That's not like fund money. They're not like going on crazy trips with that money. That money sits there. So these insurance businesses, while they do handle and pass through tons of money, and there is a lot of money to be made on an individual basis if you own an agency or you're a salesperson, the system is not built to handle mega claims or mega losses. And when those things do happen, it impacts an entire state, unfortunately.
Yeah, and those cash reserves have to be on hand. That's part of being an insurance carrier, is they have to have those minimum cash reserves in case something ever happens. And you're right, it's a big misconception. Some of that money gets parked, some of that money gets put into low risk type of environments, but it's not accessible. It's not going to CEOs. It's just sitting there. Yeah, it's just sitting there. All right, let me ask you about what your company does best. If the reason why you get more clients than everybody else, what is the reason why Rogue Risk 365 is just acquiring companies at the speed that they are?
Yeah. So just to be clear, Rogue Risk 365 is actually a service program that we put people through. It's not actually, our company is just Rogue Risk. Rogue Risk 365 is actually a service level program that we put people through once you become a client, which is essentially a 365-day plan to make sure that we're minimizing both your risk and your expense associated with your insurance. And there's a whole bunch of things that go into that, just so people aren't aware. If they look, they'll see what the difference is. So there's really two main drivers of what we do different. We are national, and we only write small commercial. Our first competitive advantage is our content marketing. It is the education that we put out. There are insurance carriers that are listed on the Dow Jones Industrial Average that do not have as much content online as we have. And we try to answer those questions in a robust but very understandable manner. Like, I try to take this crazy language, right? It's almost like a separate language, and kind of dial it down into terms that everyone can understand. So let's say one of those things might be, like, people ask me all the time, like, don't you, like, why do you do this? Like, don't you hate this industry? Like, you know what I mean? Because no one likes you when you're in this job. So if anyone's considering it, understand that your family will like you, your spouse will like you, your kids will like you, but no one else will like you. Just because everyone looks at you like you're old, like that old life insurance meme. No matter how you're dressed, what you sell, how you engage in the community, when people see you, there's like a TikTok filter that you look like that pasty white guy with a briefcase and a terrible unfitting black suit knocking on your door asking about life insurance. That's what, like, there's like a life TikTok filter on you. So the way I talk about it is what we do at Rogue, how our business is set up, everything that we think about, how I train my people, their core goal is the sustainability of small business in America. That's what we do every day. So a lot of companies position or frame insurance as protection. That is completely wrong and essentially a flat out lie. If your commercial building is on fire, I will not be driving to it and throwing buckets of water on it. I'm not going to do that. Just so everyone is clear. I don't care if I don't care if you're right across the street from me. I'm not going over with buckets of water and trying to put your building out of fire. That's
Deal. Fair.
We're not protecting your building. We are creating financial sustainability so that when you have the worst day of your business life, you get to keep your business. That's what we do. Point blank. That's what we do. It is not, I can't make you put non-slip mats down. I can't force you to do personality tests to ferret out the a-holes who could be creating problems inside your business. I can't force you to put cybersecurity on your program so that people can't hack you. I can't stop you or force you to do any of those things. But what I can do is provide you with a layer of sustainability so that if that happens, you get to keep your business, right? Because no one else is coming to rally around you. I mean, this is like the thing, like people, it's just wild, the misconceptions that we have in our brain. So many business owners act like if their building were to burn down tomorrow, the community is going to like rally around them and have a barn raising and put it back up. You know what's actually going to happen? The fire department's going to come around with one of those red signs with the black X. They're going to stamp it on there. And then you're going to get a letter that says, if you don't clean up that friggin' mess in 60 days, we're going to start fining you.
Yep.
No one cares. No one cares about you. And I hate to make it sound that way, but like the only organization that is going to show up and go, here, you just had a terrible day. Your business just burnt down. Here's $500,000 to put that building back up and get your business going. And we're going to send you a check for $2,500 a month for the next 7 months while the building is being built so that you can pay all your ongoing bills while you're not in operation. Man.
Survival, dude. Survival. Insurance companies making you whole.
It's about sustainability. Are you ever going to be 100% the same? Nah. Is it going to be easy? Nope. Are you going to have times when you look at it and you're like, I paid $10,000 for that wine rack and you're telling me I can get it for $4,000. That's unfair. Sure. Those things are going to happen. But you know what? You're going to get your business back. You're going to get your business back. So the way that we think about it is I don't take the comments personally. We don't take that. We get a lot of people will like call us and then like yell at us. It's really weird. Like you called me and now you're yelling at me, even though I'm trying to help you. And I teach my people, like, understand, even if the person on the other end of the phone doesn't appreciate what you're doing, they don't understand why maybe you're putting them with this carrier or that carrier, even though you explained it, right? They don't understand why their premiums aren't, everyone thinks their premiums should be like $500. And it's like, you're on the 15th floor of buildings washing windows. Like, that's insane. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could kill somebody or you could die. Like, so no one understands. And I'm like, but at our core, what we have to believe, and this is what I try and instill in my people, and it's certainly what I believe, is that even if they don't appreciate what you're doing for them, understand that you just made sure another small business in the United States is going to be fine when they have their worst day. That's what you did. You made sure that another small business isn't going to get boarded up, that if they get a cyber attack, they're not going to get shut down, that they're going to get to maintain. And even if they don't appreciate or understand it, I promise you, you're doing a good thing. You're doing a good thing for communities. You're doing a good thing for this individual, for their family, for the people that work there. And, the people that work for me, they believe that. And I think that that mentality allows us to work through a process that gets them to a place where most of our customers are very happy.
Absolutely. Ryan, as we get closer to the end of our time here, if people want to reach out and find out more about working with an insurance agency like yours, where they know they're going to be taken care of, where they know they're going to get the information that they need to understand the products that they're even buying, how can they do that?
Yeah, so I'll give you 2 resources. If you just want to learn and just are interested in the content, you can either go to our website, which is Rogue, ROGUERISK.com. It's scrolling on the bottom, or just Rogue Risk YouTube, or go to YouTube and type in Rogue Risk, and you'll find, guys, we have, between our blog, our website content, and our YouTube, we have over 1,000 pieces of content describing everything you could possibly want to know about insurance. And I highly encourage you to do that, whether you ever work with us or not. If you do want to work with us, there's plenty of buttons and phone number. You'll find how to contact us. There's all kinds of ways. If you, if you're like this kind of stuff, I do, business, leadership, sales, high performance. I have a newsletter. It's completely free as well. It's called Finding Peak. It comes out once a week. And I talk about, there's a lot between the independent insurance agency and starting Rogue Risk. There's like a whole series of business in there that we didn't get to, which is fine. But all those lessons and all the various things that have made us successful, talk about in that newsletter. And you can go to Finding Peak, like Finding Peak Performance.
Finding peak. All right, ladies and gentlemen, find your peak. Find that thing that, by the way, insurance, like Ryan said at the very beginning, is one of those industries where you put the work in and it pays you consistently. You maintain your clients and they're happy. Every time they pay their bill, you get paid. And as you acquire a bigger and bigger book of business, that cash flow also comes in. So, I love how, Ryan, you talked a lot about the ups and downs and working within the industry and the things that you have to do to kind of build that book. But at the end of the day, in the insurance space, it could be very, very lucrative. So you guys want to learn more from somebody who's already doing a good job, make sure you guys go to roguerisk.com, or like you said, Google Rogue Risk and watch all the different content that they have available. Ryan, any final thoughts before we head out?
No, I appreciate you, man. I hope people got a lot out of this and understand that, all the things that I talked about with our industry in particular, you could reframe those for any other industry. All the industries deal with the same set of problems, just slightly reframed for whatever their unique specifics of their business are. So I hope some of these things applied. And if I can be of service to anyone, just reach out.
Sounds good. Ryan, thank you very much for being on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. And we're out.
It's over. Go home. Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast. But not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz to get started today. Business Bros!